Hey guys, it's Chitty, and this is episode 2 of our Dialectical SpeedRun. Welcome back. This is game 2, and it's not actually game 2 because I have spent many games trying to figure out how to work OBS, which I've changed over from Streamlabs, yeah, and it's not really working out for me all that well, yeah, let me just try and fix all these before we start. Okay, should be good now. So we are sitting at the very respectable rating of 747, like the plane, and perfectly fitting because we're about to fly, baby. Fly away like Nora Jaybird. And if you don't know who Nora Jaybird is, that's a badass motherfucker. So, with that being said, what do we want to talk about today? Well, the topic I had for today is it's an original thought of mine of the limitations of logic, and I think as a society we are extremely hyper fixated on intelligence and logic, and I think that's also perfectly reflected in chess. Like people assume so heavily that chess is a game of intelligence, but actually, chess is more to me in my mind a game of memorization, pattern recognition, and conceptual knowledge, all those aspects of chess. And you know I think I prove it quite clearly when I'm playing and kind of like do two different things at the same time and multitask. But yeah, so what I want to talk about is the limitations of logic. And you know I think this is a very common experience for everyone as a child, and also in adult phases of life where, like, let's say you're in a classroom and you want to ask a question and you really want to know I know I had mate, but just to keep this thought going, um yeah, so we always in a classroom feel this kind of this stress, this angst, this kind of like feeling that maybe we shouldn't ask a question, and we're afraid that we might look stupid by asking this question. And that's because I feel like as a society we always tend to view not knowing things as a very bad thing, and that's actually not how I view it at all. I think that if you don't know something, it's actually a good thing because it's the first step to getting to know that thing. So that is something that I tend to think about a lot. Is we should view it in this more you can say kind way, and you're being kind to yourself in this way, because if you're overcritical of yourself in this way and saying, oh, I'm not intelligent enough, this is a stupid question, I should know this already, it's only going to have like so many hindrances on you and your own life. So I try and not think of it in this way. And we can also talk about the metaphysical aspect of this, the metaphysical limitations of logic. And what I mean by this is, well, not everything in life is logical. Not everything has this quality, this yeah, I think quality is a good word. It doesn't have this like aspect of logical sequencing, because let's say there are many aspects of life where we don't use logic, like let's say for example our emotions, and love for example is not a very logical thing, you could say. Sometimes we do really stupid stuff in the name of love, but I think that it is just because it doesn't have this logical dimension to it doesn't mean that it's not correct, or it doesn't mean that it's not just as important or as good or valid. So there are other dimensions you can say to life. Another way you can look at this topic is also the metaphysical limitation, in the sense of, well, how do you explain paradoxes? Because paradoxes obviously exist, and it's not anything you can solve through a logical lens. So there is this you know this problem that we have to deal with, like how do we resolve these questions, and many things are paradoxical. So these are all very interesting ways of looking at this, but the ultimate idea here is that we shouldn't be one-dimensional, is my thought. I think we should have a multitude of worldviews. I think we should have a multitude of... should I take like this or like this? Let's take the knight. Okay, and yeah, a multitude of... you know, the more the better is the way I tend to think of this. So, yeah. So you can also refer to this concept in chess terms, you know, because we always tend to think about, oh, we need to make the most logical move on the board, and we follow these these notions kind of like a cake recipe, when really it's not that. Like, many times we're thinking, okay, we need to play this, then this, then this, develop the pieces, dominate the center. And yes, while that is correct in a sense, it's not that you can just play that mindlessly and you're gonna win a game. You have to also rely on other aspects of your own mind sometimes, like your intuition, which is super important. Sometimes the logical move would be A, but something is telling you there's something more, or you have a sense, a feeling for a tactic, and you can't really explain that feeling in a logical way, you know, because it isn't really logical. You can think of it that way, that something is indicating to you which is beyond logic, which is a vital part of chess. So, yeah, okay. I guess that's my thoughts for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you guys would like to talk about next episode, and I'll try and talk about that if possible. And if you want to join the Discord, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're interested in coaching and working with me closely as a chess coach, then I will also link my chess.com profile so you guys can check out all the information there. So with that being said, let's analyze this game together. Okay, let's actually do it here. So, okay, we play a Sicilian, and this is not the best variation. I don't really like this because it's always going to walk into this e6 move. So the bold attack, which is the name of this opening for white, places the bishop on c4 really early, but it walks into this pawn wall with e6, and there are many game plans where you can play a really quick d5, let's say. And when you play this d5, you're playing, like, I'm pretty sure you guys have all heard the saying, if you can play d5 in the Sicilian, you probably should. And so there are many game plans where this happens. Let's say, for example, after castles, knight f6. What am I talking about? Let's just say, for simplicity's sake, rook here, bishop here. Let's just say a nothing move. We can play something like push, take, and you know, this pawn is defended twice. And we can castle on the next move. We get this d5, this very nice center. So this isn't really the best way to play these Sicilians here as the white pieces. You can even say, like, even after a you know, more precise move like this, maybe it's still not that good after the same continuation, take. And there's going to be some problems here for these minor pieces for white. Black has an amazing center, castling next move, everything's protected, so not really the best. And going back to the game, we have bishop c4, e6, and then knight g5 is played. And with this knight g5 move, clearly this is just a free piece hanging. Queen takes g5 is a move, so I will take that. And as a resource, there's always going to be this idea of playing d4, which is a very good move, given the circumstances, I think. However, so the idea of d4 is you grab center and attack the queen here. But the problem is, you're attacking the queen, but there's something that needs to be defended first, which is the g2 pawn. So now after d4, queen takes g2, and I'm attacking yet another piece. Not only this, but now that you've played d4, this d4 pawn is hanging, and usually you can get away with this, the hanging pawn, because the queen is hit. But since the queen can move with an extra threat, now this is something that white must deal with, and then they have no time to defend this pawn, which they would have in the other positions. So now they have to play this move. Knight takes, or actually the queen takes first. Yeah, I probably should have played knight takes, come to think of it. Yeah, maybe knight takes. So let's say knight takes, they play something like, I don't know. Everything looks rough because the idea of knight takes is there's this check coming in. So let's just say maybe for simplicity's sake this, then the pawn hangs. Yeah, it's not looking good, so maybe this was just a perfectly fine move. Takes. Here they should really block with the queen or the... Yeah, they should block with the queen here. You can't block with the bishop because after bishop blocks, so in this position if you block with the bishop, I'm taking here, and you know this bishop is now lost because it's pinned. So that wouldn't be very good. You can argue that maybe after this, there's, you know, there's nothing going on here. This bishop is still completely lost. So you should probably play queen e2 here, with the next idea being this bishop e3 maneuver. Now I would be very uncomfortable here to queen trade, just because I'd be doing so many things at the same time, multitasking, but probably the best move is just to play takes. Let's say bishop takes and then knight takes. Maybe pawn takes as well, depending, but knight takes looks just as good because we're up so much material. And this would be the position, completely winning here for black. So we reach this position, bishop here, knight takes is what was played in the game. And then after knight a3, don't get me wrong, I did realize that this was a beautiful checkmate. I did see this. However, I wanted to keep talking about life and stuff like that with you guys, but yeah, so that's why it wasn't played. We instead play a6, playing a bit slower and giving him a chance to recoup, which he doesn't. He hangs mate again, by the way, but we go back and abandon that idea completely and go for a completely different mate, try and get something else going. So all this was good because now my opponent starts to develop a lot and castling is the next move they can play, so this is all very good. But instead they played this, which isn't great for them. So you should definitely be castling here to get that king safe. And in this position, I was wondering if I should play bishop e7 or bishop d6. And yeah, I think bishop to e7 is just a lot more simpler to play because we're breaking this pin on the queen. It's very simple. If they ever take into us here, then this bishop's going to be an absolute monster, so we don't need to worry about this at any moment. And we can later find ideas of activating this bishop. Maybe I have ideas of, you know, knight e4, attacking queen and bishop, which wins a piece. So this does seem to be the more accurate move. So bishop e7, and then in this position probably have to play something like a kingside attack for white, maybe f4, h4 ideas. It's already quite tough. It's a very difficult position for them here. Instead c4 was played, and I can lock up the center now, develop my queen, and after this sorry guys, after this queen trade it's just a very secure game. Trade the queens, develop my final piece. We're up a piece here, so no need to worry. And this is just desperation. We can clean up from this point. Not much to analyze, and our opponent hangs the final fork and resigns the game. So that was it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.